258 here, back again. I'm your host, Jordan Antonio Brown, and we're here with another episode of Supporters Section. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe, drop a like, free engagement, and yeah, man, it helps with the engagement of the videos. So if you do that, you're supporting the channel. Today we have with me big Arsenal fan, Broadz from AFTV, the actual team AFTV. See him doing this thing on YouTube, scoring goals. If you don't know him, you'll know him in 2021 for sure. Road to 1K as well, YouTube channel. See you doing your thing, man. Pleasure to have you on, bro.
Respectful, man. It's a pleasure to be on, man. Pleasure to be on.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. So let's talk about your start in football. What made you fall in love with Arsenal?
Do you know what? When I was younger, that was the only team I really knew because my uncle was like a huge Arsenal fan and all of that. So for me, it was like, I remember watching them defeat Chelsea in the FA Cup final, like time ago. I don't remember what year it was. Ray Pollard and Lundberg scored the goals, and I was just like, raw. And then the World Cup came in it, and Brazil won it. Like, yo, I'm starting to pick up, like, raw, football's actually kind of wavy, innit?
Yeah.
And then I saw Henry, and I said, nah, there's no going back now, innit?
Yeah, 100%. Henry is someone where everyone was. If you were a young black kid, you just wanted to be like Henry, 100%. Even if you're probably a white kid, you wanted to be like Henry. To be honest, he was someone that you looked up to, and you know you wanted to be like. And yeah, talk about your memories of Henry. Like, what did he do, and how did he make you feel? Like, what type of happiness did he bring to you in terms of your life and everything?
You know, that's a good question because for me, I don't feel like any footballer has kind of hit me the way Henry hit me, you know. So I remember when what was it? He must have taken the ball around like the whole Liverpool team and then bagged. I was like, oh, you know, you're looking at, oh my God.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? And he just had that class in it. You know that vibe about him, that you know, he wasn't arrogant, but he was self-confident, you know, and he was like, he had this team around him. Like, for me, obviously, Vieira was the captain, and they were leaders all throughout the Arsenal team. But for me, like, Henry was just like the icing on the cake. You know, he just like, yeah, man, like this is proper, man. I just remember this guy just very goals that he used to finish. Golden Boot winner. I remember also he used to assist as well. You know what I mean? And I remember like I don't really see, or I never really used to see strikers assist the way he did. You know, like he could bag. There was nothing that man couldn't do, right? And then after, like sometimes you see him, he could bag, and then after he just passes it to Perez or passes it to Lundberg or whoever. And I was like, nah, like it's just even that lesson of generosity, which was, you know, shown through the way he plays. I was like, this guy is just different, man.
Yeah, the way you put it is actually mad still. Like, the way you put it in terms of he would take on the whole team and literally pass it to Perez. Like, Perez would run the pitch knowing that he'll get a tap in. You know what I mean? Yeah. Knowing that Henry, if he ever saw him in that position, he would just be like, yo, listen, have a little goal. You know what I'm saying? So,
exactly. And he was still thinking Golden Boot winner. Like, could you imagine if he didn't pass?
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. Man. But yeah, sorry.
Let's talk about your upbringing. Like, who got you into Arsenal? Like, was it uncle? Was it anyone in your family? Like, who got you into Arsenal?
Yeah, so when I was really young, you know, as it happened, like, so I got scouted for a team, innit? Like, it was Chelsea, right?
Okay.
And I remember saying to my uncle, like, proper, like, hugging me, like, well done, because he was like a big influence on my football, yeah. And I remember saying to him, like, well, I don't want to go there, innit? Like, I don't want to go there. They're rubbish, innit? I want to go to Arsenal, like. That was the only thing in my head, like, Arsenal. And you know, like, if there was an opportunity to go to Chelsea now, I'll flipping walk there with my bare foot, innit? But
yeah.
You know, but the way, like, I don't know, he wasn't even pushing it on me. It was just kind of like, obviously I looked up to him, and then it was like, just from there, just fell in love with the club. But it was like, you couldn't holler at me with no other team, bro. No other team, no opportunity, nothing. It was just strictly Arsenal, Arsenal, Arsenal. And I wouldn't even consider myself the biggest Arsenal fan right now. But it's just like, that's always been one team I just related to. So I don't know if it's just the players or whatever. But, you know, even growing up, the men them were all Arsenal supporters as well. But, you know, I felt like I was gang before them, innit? Do you know what I mean? It's just, I can't explain it. That team back then was magic, along with my uncle's, you know, influence, unintentional influence. It was out from day one, man. From day one, bro.
Okay. In terms of, obviously you just spoke about your upbringing, like why you supported Arsenal. What was your football like in terms of, you know, you being a footballer? Did you enjoy football, or like how was that put on you?
You know what? Like, I feel like I liked football, but probably not enough. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's a weird one. Like, opportunities used to come, and me personally, I never really felt like I was that good, you know.
Okay.
But even now, to be fair, but it's just a thing where, like, I don't know. Sometimes you know this better than me, innit? Sometimes a coach might see something in you or whatever, or, you know, when you're younger, you're fast or you're tall or whatever, you know what I mean? And then after they just think, yeah, you know, we'll just have him in it, but we'll give him a go. But yeah, I was kind of playing on and off throughout my life, if I'm really honest. You know, you go play at this club, you do well or whatever, the opportunity might come in. Then after you go there, and then there's brothers that are really balling out. Like when I was like 7, when I went over to Chelsea, there were brothers where you could see the difference in it. Like, right, okay. You know, at that age as well, like where you're not really doing nothing, are you? But you could see the difference. You play against some academies that you can see, like, even just from man's like persona, like they're just way more on it. It's different from playing in ends.
Yeah.
So I think me, especially where I used to suffer with a lot of like self-confidence issues and whatnot, especially in football, it was just kind of like, you know, probably like obviously now I'm not pro anyway, but probably it just wasn't really for me. But I just used to like football. Maybe I was a little bit good at it, but you know, not on the level of some other people where, you know, they was really like they can really play in it.
Yeah. What area did you grow up in London, and was there any ballers you grew up with?
Yeah, so I grew up in Ilford.
Okay.
So yeah, so like they were man them like, when I came to secondary school, there was one brother he played for Arsenal for his whole career. There's like a couple men younger than me as well playing for Arsenal. As you get older, you start like mixing with the local boys, and they all come from academies as well, or like, you know. So it was interesting, innit? Do you know what I mean? It was interesting. A couple men I played with like outside the ends as well. Just, you know how it goes, innit? Everyone's kind of starts to come on, innit? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you, man. When was your first ever Arsenal game?
Late, it was 2007.
Okay.
Arsenal versus Derby. When Derby had the lowest points finish.
Oh yeah.
Arsenal versus Derby, and then I just remember like seeing like I really wanted to see. I think Henry left by then, innit?
I think that might have been his last season.
Yeah, it was. I think it must have been 08 then. It was basically as soon as Henry left.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was probably 08 against. I remember. I think Derby was in the league in 08, and Henry left in 07 because remember that there was a Champions League final. But did he leave? He didn't leave just after. He left the season after the Champions League final. Exactly.
Yeah, the year after.
Yeah, exactly. So it must have been 08, or end of 07 season. But yeah. So obviously, how was that first feeling like going to your first game and that?
Different, because I'd been to like an international match. I went to England versus Jamaica, but
Oh yeah.
I traveled all the way to see Peter Crouch do the robot, innit? So I was like, nah, fam, like, that's long, innit? All the way to Old Trafford. But Arsenal, it was different. I can't lie. For me, because I was such a big Henry fan, it didn't hit the same, innit? Like if I was to see Henry. But nevertheless, I was grateful. You know, my uncle took me. And like, yeah, the first time, it's just kind of like, you know, you're seeing the players for real now. You're looking at the runs, looking at, you know, some of the things you can't see on the TV, and you appreciate it. Like, if I'm honest with you, you know, he took me to quite a few games growing up after that. And like, even just watching Olivier Giroud or watching
different appreciation.
Different appreciation, man. You try and add certain things to the game, and you look at, maybe when you play as well, you look at a little bit different rather than just thinking, oh, why are you doing that, man? You know what I mean? You just you can understand why he did it. So
100%. Makes sense. Obviously you just spoke about going to games regularly and that. If you don't go to games regularly and you are able to go to games regularly, does that make you not a real fan? Or like, how do you see in terms of, you know, because there used to be a stigma back in the day of fans who used to sit on the armchair, like you said, saying, oh, do this, do that, and they're not at the game, they don't travel. Like, what's your perception on that now? Seeing as like COVID, you have to stay at home. What's the game?
Yeah, I mean, okay, let's say pre-COVID, yeah, there are some people, they can't afford to go to a game, especially to Arsenal, probably the most expensive tickets in the league.
No, in the world.
The world, yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I would never ever put pressure on somebody to say you need to go to an Arsenal game, because when it's all said and done, football is one of the less important things. You know? I do feel like you can be just as big as a fan if you're halfway across the world. You know, there are even people who, you know, they can't even see the game physically, like, but they still connect with the club. So I think no matter what your connection with the club is and what makes you fall in love with it, you can be just as big as a fan as anybody else.
Oh, I hear that, man, 100%. You spoke about your favorite player growing up. Who's the worst ever Arsenal player you would say you see dress up in an Arsenal kit?
You know what? Because I have appreciation that, you know, they've gone to the promised land and I ain't, I don't see it as like, you know, oh, he's rubbish. With that being said, I'll answer your question. I'll think maybe it's Pascal Sigon or like, I don't know. There was some bad guys. There were some guys that weren't good, but obviously there must have been something in it that put them. But,
yeah, I hear you, man.
I'll say the most possible.
Yeah. Okay. Talking about dressing up in Arsenal kits, obviously, you know, Arsenal, to be fair, has, I think, their designing team. I don't know who designs it. Is it Adidas or Arsenal? Who has the biggest input in the kits? I don't really know. But Arsenal seem to have always like one of the best looking kits out there, man. What is your most favorite throughout all the years you've been supporting Arsenal?
You know what? Recently they've been coming with some decent drops in it. Like the bruised banana one. Even I think this year with the white marble halls edition. But for me, it's going back to like 03 with that 02, the 02 and the blue. Remember the blue away kit?
Oh yeah, that was the one, bruv. And then that was in like the FIFA, on the FIFA cover, and that, I think Henry, he had that.
Yeah.
One of them ones. Yeah, that's where I remember that kit from, 100%. I was like 04 or something.
Yeah. Slap different, man.
Yeah, like you said earlier though, going back to like the respect you have for footballers though, that's quite good from a fan's point of view. Just talk on that, like, why is it that you have that respect in terms of that appreciation? Like, to make it professional, you have to be somewhat good, you know? So just speak on, why is that? Like, why do you think that way compared to other people where it'd be like, I don't care if he plays for Man United or Arsenal or Man City, he's shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd say like for me, because you know, growing up with I'm blessed to have had the upbringing I did, where I've been around guys who they went pro. Some of them didn't go pro. As you know, you sound like you're from London as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Like one ends where everyone thinks he's cold, and everyone thinks he's good, and he doesn't make it. And it's like when I've seen certain players kind of not have that out and out respect from everybody, where you know they probably think, oh, this guy's not that good, but he plays for this team, or this guy's not that good, but he plays for that team. But then he makes it, you know, and he has a good career in the pro game. It's simply down to hard work, professionalism. You know, obviously as a professional yourself, you'll know this better than anyone. Yeah, professionalism, you know, dedication, man. Like, can you get up? Like, look at the weather now; it's freezing. Yeah, can you get up and and go and do your runs or your sprints, or even just stay stretched? Like, there's so many different components to becoming a pro. And what's the worst thing that people probably don't understand is like there are many people that must work in this game, and they don't really get nowhere. You know?
Exactly. Crazy.
Like some people, their body it breaks down, all of that, man. So I appreciate the fact that you lot have actually gone there at whatever level. You know what I mean? You've got there. You can make a living of football because non-league is a different thing. You know? But you know what I'm saying? Like you're doing it, innit? So I have a big admiration for all of you.
Yeah, I respect that, man. Fully respect that. Obviously transitioning into the next topic that we're going to speak about. Obviously, don't know if you featured on there, but you're definitely a part of that whole organization under a lot of brands and banners, and in terms of banners meaning branches, connected to the big organization, big platform, media platform that is Arsenal Fan TV. So, you know, number one, when was the first time you heard of Arsenal Fan TV, and what was your initial perception of Arsenal Fan TV?
Do you know what? I think I heard about it like 2013, 2014, something like that. And I just used to see Claude and Ty. Yeah, if you're familiar with Claude and Ty. And I was just like, I used to watch it, but I don't know, I just didn't really ring with me, innit? Like that. I just used to watch it, like, yeah, cool. And then I started to see like Troops come on and that, innit? And I was like, raw, like, this guy, he does it. You know, normally you have your way of speaking in the ends and you have your way of speaking
on camera.
On public. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy doesn't hold it down, did it? But I thought, do you know what? It's good because he's just himself, innit? And I was glad to see people, you know, just giving him attention that he deserves. And I thought, raw. So it was kind of like, I never really had any negative thoughts about it, like some people. I just thought, cool, they're just expressing their opinion, innit?
Yeah, I hear you, man. Obviously, like, people have negative perception on it, and people have their own thoughts. Like, do you see the reason why people might, you know, ridicule them for some of their thoughts and their antics?
Yeah, I definitely see why, but it's a thing where we have to understand that every football fan base has the same sort of characters or the same categories. You know, you got people that slander players, you got people who praise players. You know, like for example, Ty. You know, Ty. He'll never ever say a bad thing. As long as you're Arsenal, he'll never say a bad thing about other players. You know, and I think that's good. But then you get some people who they're so emotionally invested in the club. Sometimes it might cause them to have such a reactive opinion. You know, where they've just watched the game. We have to also remember these men have just paid their money.
Yeah.
Just come out the stadium or wherever now, and you're interviewing them. And if they see a performance that they're not happy with, their immediate reaction is going to be, oh, this guy's so and so. And so I feel like we need to just try and empathize with these lot. First of all, you know, this could be, listen, it's only because AFTV is like the biggest fan channel in the world. This is why we kind of target the Arsenal fan base like that. But there's fans like that in Liverpool. There's fans like that in Manchester United. You know, and these lot will protest when they don't like something. But
Yeah,
we
yeah.
didn't see no Arsenal protest really bang like that. So I think it's all over the world.
Yeah, I hear you. Did you ever imagine yourself being a part of the journey?
No, not at all. And I remember like one of my close friends, he said to me, he always used to say, you should go on there and give your opinions and all of that. But I just never had any interest in doing that. I didn't mind watching any. So yeah, I mean, the way I got into it was,
Yeah. So obviously you're in the YouTube football world, and you know you play against a whole load of other YouTube teams. Speak on that and some of your experiences playing against some other teams.
yeah, so YouTube football is a very different experience, man. There are, the level's not too bad. Like, it's getting better every year, I think. There's a lot of ego, there's a lot of
Walking.
there's a lot of, there's a lot of hot talk. Like, there's so much, and I think this is what probably draws people towards it. It's like that, where in the professional game you don't really get to see somebody's personality. YouTube football's all kind of unfiltered, raw. Like I said, the level is getting better. So some of the teams we've played, some of the big ones in it, and they always come with decent ballers. You'd even see them. I've done a bit of research on your career as well. You'd probably know some of Beatties, for example, and SC Dons, some big names when I was growing up in it. So I think it's crazy to think that I'll play against, or be in the same sort of footballing world as some of these guys were. When I was growing up, I thought, right, this guy's next up, and you know what I'm saying. So I think that's a good experience. Also, just on the other side of it, like the fan base globally that you can gather. For somebody who didn't make it as a pro or not got a professional contract, and any sort of opportunity that I could have taken in the last few years, I don't think it would have been as commercially as big as being a part of AFTV FC. So there is a level of responsibility that you need to have when you're on these platforms as well. Although it is unfiltered, and although it's probably a bit less professional, so to speak, I do think all of us, if you have any sort of platform, big or small, you have a responsibility to kind of just try and show yourself in a way which won't influence somebody to do anything bad in it. That's how I see it. So I definitely think it's a good experience.
Yeah, just talking about influencing people and whatnot. Like obviously with the fan channels and so forth, and sometimes the YouTube channels and stuff. Like, do you think that kind of eggs on some people online to like be a follower, or they might think they're a follower, but like maybe they're following the wrong thing that they're seeing, like maybe a fan comes on and he's belittling the players and going crazy and everything, and then that guy is watching the video and is like, yeah, I feel the same way, I'm gonna take it a step further and talk about man's mum or man's son on, you know what I mean? Like, so like how do you think that has an influence on like people, trolls and stuff on social media?
Yeah, I think although it may be unintentional in some cases, or in most cases, I do feel like there is an influence on some of the more impressionable people in life. Maybe the younger crowd, where they'll go and make a fake Twitter and then go and abuse. Like, most recently was a Runarsson, isn't it, from Arsenal?
Okay, yeah, with the goalkeeper.
Yeah, the goalkeeper, and man locked off his Twitter. You know what I mean? He locked off his Twitter because apparently the abuse was that bad. So I do feel like, especially if I'm ever asked a question about a player, there's such thing as just criticizing, but in a constructive manner, in a constructive criticism. But anything after that, like when it gets a bit personal or a bit abusive, I'm not really with it, innit? I can't really tell anyone what to do, but in my opinion, I'm not really with it. So I think if you're a solution-oriented person or solution-oriented person, you don't really feel to criticize people anyway, or slander them. In fact, that's the difference. Slander them. So you wouldn't do it. But for anybody out there, if they do see this, I think you should tone it down a bit, because there are many people out there who will take it a step further. Sometimes the people that I've had, like personally, um, you know, they're fans of a certain influencer, and one came and racially abused me, innit? And I'm thinking, you're racially abusing me, but this person who you follow and you admire, he would have racially abused me himself, innit? So it's those people that take it one step further. Sometimes they don't understand or don't gauge that it's not that deep, innit? You know what I mean? Where you gotta go disrespect man and all of that.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. What is the main reason why do you think, like, not saying we're not talking about the hate speech anymore. We're just talking about the reactions of fans in terms of an emotive way. So where a fan comes out and says, "Oh, he's been playing rubbish. I want him out of my club. This and that." What is the trigger point from the player's side? Like, what is the player doing that is making the fan so angry? Like, obviously it's performance, but like, what is it? Like, is it terms of, because me personally, give you backstory, the reason why I do this channel, I want to like bridge the gap between fans and footballers. I feel like fans and footballers should have a connection together. Like, it shouldn't just be like, here I am, I'm tweeting from my managers or my agents, you know, phone. You know, I'm not even tweeting this message from the game myself. It's my agent who's doing it. You know what I mean? That's why I feel like maybe that is the, you know, that is the underlining annoyance. It's like, you know, a kid that doesn't get attention from maybe his dad in terms of, I don't know how to put it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? That's the analogy I'm trying to make. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're trying to say. I think fans are so emotional. Do you know what? I think they don't even understand it themselves, if I'm honest with you. If you go and ask Graham Souness, why are you so upset with what Pogba does off the field? And, you know, I don't think my man can articulate it to you in a way that even makes sense to himself, innit? Like, I think sometimes, that's why I said earlier, there are some people who are solutions orientated, or there are some people who they're positive, you know what I mean? They look for
They're good
just
and stuff.
yeah, you know what I mean? And then there's some people who like to blame. There's some people who have that kind of loser mentality where, like, they need to scapegoat somebody for something. You know, maybe it's not even their football club that's actually upsetting them the most. It could be something else. Yeah, but you need to have that level of self-analysis and self-reflection where you're gonna go away and say, you know what, maybe I need help with this, or I don't need to go on my Twitter and start slandering anybody. You know,
Yeah.
being so reactional, emotional. But football, a lot of people say in this country that football's their escape and football's their getaway.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a link there.
How long? Big question. How long until Arsenal challenge for a title again? How many years is that going to be?
Nobody knows, man. I think probably, look, things are
Challenge.
looking
That's
all
the
right,
key
right?
word. Challenge.
Challenge. I would say probably in 3-4 years.
Minimum.
3-4 years. There's a few monsters coming up in it, so if they stay, they're looking good. But Arsenal don't have a really good transfer policy in it, so
Yeah.
these lot might even leave on a free, man.
Let's hope that don't happen, man. Let's hope that don't happen, man. I feel like it's the perfect place. Obviously, you're not too far from where that is. You know, Arsenal being North London club, London, the kit, the stadium, just the history of the club. Like, it's one of the biggest attractions in world football, but it just seems like the people above are just getting it wrong, and you know, they're just not utilizing all of that for the club's best gain.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Maybe they need somebody that's really like a football man in there, and then go from there, because some of the decisions they make doesn't really make sense to me. But I know, man.
Is what it is. All right, cool. Who should I bring on next? Who you know? That's what I asked everyone. Support section. Who do you think I should bring on next?
Bring on Wince from Beatties.
Okay. Yeah. That'd be a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. Wince or Big G from SD Dons.
Big G. I know Wentz obviously as well, but Big G. Yeah, these are people that would be good to bring on, man. So thanks for coming on, and don't forget to subscribe to his channel as well. You know, we're trying to get him to 1K, and also we're trying to get us to 1K. We're nearly there. Only like 70. You need to check 70 more subscribers. So make sure you do that. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to his social medias and support section.
For more content like this, like, share, and subscribe.